The Rest Are Missing by Seth Wieck. George Lickis puffed his Pall Mall on the porch of the parish hall, where the village convened for wakes and weddings and sausage making. From behind my dad's thigh, I'd seen George drinking black coffee from white styrofoam cups and puffing Pall Malls. He barreled a black El Camino down our white caliche roads towards Battenhorst's garage every dawn to chit-chat and chew the fat with Fat Reinert, or click the abacus and clack the bones in a quick game of Count Dominoes with Uncle Ed and Cotton Fremel. George could be described as sinew, the pearlescent gristle on a short loin that Granddad would slice and grind into sausage. But he was a man, and lean, and lived, and breathed, and it never occurred to me that a man could be ground up in a machine. There he perched on the porch of the parish hall, hunched on the steps, elbows knocked to knees, a filtered cigarette between his teeth. Behind him in the hall, my mother kneaded yeast rolls with a handful of parish wives and a band of husbands who'd forsook their morning chores to stuff sausage casings and chop cabbage for 30-gallon crocks for sauerkraut to ferment in the basement. I'm surprised still that souls from other towns will travel here on the first Sunday of each cold November to stand in line linked with strangers over our kraut and bratwursts, brown gravy and potatoes sopped up with a yeast roll. There must be some underground enchantment which happens in the basement of our parish hall that people from miles around would drive full Chevy Suburbans to our village just to taste it. I could not pass George Lickis on the steps without telling him hello, nor could I hide behind my dad who was in the basement, coupling links with a wrist-flick twist of pig gut, hanging hanks of sausage by the hundred. George's Pall Mall vanished into his beard. He stubbed out the butt and lit another. He squinted out, south towards the elevators. He was not in the hall with the others. I was almost 5 and knew well enough my manners and well enough of loneliness that I should sit with him while he smoked. I cannot honestly recall if words passed between us, though the earth did tremble at the rough passing of the train engine trailing coupled cars next to Highway 60. There was no use talking over that noise. A mile-long measure of a symphony that blasts all its notes at once, then passes the Doppler bar and blasts them all again down the line where we can't hear them. We sat, two gathered unnamed, tobacco smoke twisting, a spirit hovering between us. Then I said goodbye and left to find my mother in the basement of the parish hall. Week following, my father, a volunteer fireman, was summoned to the railroad crossing at Cemetery Road, where George Lickis had been killed by a train on his way to drink coffee at the elevator. Early in the morning as the sun rose, over the rails shining forever and ever, two lines converging, their terminus in the blinding sun. His was my first death. After some ceremony, they carried his body that last mile to the parish cemetery, where he's buried, feet facing east. Uncle Stan's wheat surrounds those graves, and those summers I ran combine with him and his boy John Paul, we'd slow way down so as not to hook the header in the chain-link fence again. I never again thought about George until John Paul's wedding, and everyone returned to the parish hall to receive the bride and groom. My oldest boy was 2 and prone to wander, so I followed him out of the wedding supper onto the porch, and the train was passing, and he called out, "Train," like little boys do, and George Lickis arrived in his black El Camino. I'm telling you this now, because George Lickis was dead, but George Lickis lives now in this, imperfect, and soon I'll be buried in a plot at the bottom of Uncle Stan's wheat, and he'll be buried there too. And I wish that I could tell you about all the rest that I'm missing, all the rest that are missing. In our mile-long measure, the rest is missing.
Welcome to Flyby Films once or twice a month using the magic of distance-defying tubes or some stupid shit like that. We get together to discuss films that either have been or will be forgotten. I'm Blake Collier. Sitting next to me in this tiny box from Chico, California is my friend and co-host, Jameson Barsotti, not to be confused with Barsotti. I made that mistake on the first episode, and I got ripped a new one. I mean, by Jameson standards anyways. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the movie Cool Hand Luke, which is not forgotten, or probably will be forgotten for a long while, but maybe someday. One of the greats of Paul Newman's career, in my opinion. And we have a special guest on this podcast, my friend from the Panhandle, Seth Wieck. Seth is a poet and a jack of all trades, really. I mean, the man has done probably a little bit of everything at this point, right?
I've never skydived or ridden a bull for 8.3.2 seconds or grown a Fu Manchu. Never done any of those things.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the things that matter, right?
Sure.
Like raising land, raising animals.
I have done those, yes.
Writing verse.
Also on the list.
Yeah. What else have you done? Appraised houses. That's what you're
currently doing. That, yes.
Yeah. So you've done a little bit of everything. So Seth Wieck is joining us to talk about Cool Hand Luke, but he's also going to talk about his new book, Call Out Coyote, which is his first debut book of poetry from Wise Blood Books. We'll be putting that in the show notes. And along with a piece that I shared with Jameson today. I don't know if you remember writing this, but this was your piece on Cool Hand Luke and Minority Report.
Yes.
That you did for me a while back. And I popped into my head when I knew we were jumping on this call to do this episode. I was like, I'm going to send this to Jameson. Give him a kind of an insight. Because that's one of my favorite pieces that I did for that series of, I guess it was a series doing comparison of two movies.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my favorites. So
I got around to reading that. It was pretty good. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Enjoyed it.
It's pretty good. It's fine. It's funny that you, Jameson, that you said pretty good, because Seth and I go way back with that phrasing.
That's high praise coming from Blake.
It's high praise.
It's his 5 stars and 2 thumbs up.
That's true. That's true. I've known Blake enough to know that. So yeah.
So, and then Jameson is here. He decided to join us, and
again.
I mean, the simple fact that he continues to show up every time is a testament to our friendship. Because we make nothing from this, and the only reason why we do it is to avoid the Sunday scaries.
You know what, Blake? So, I think we decided we were calling it a low effort podcast for a while, but I think you and we talked about it and we were like, effortless is a better terminology. Effortless.
Yeah. It makes it more positive connotation.
Yeah, it seems like you're doing this with grace and no thought. It just comes out naturally.
Yeah, and it is no thought.
No thought. Yeah, definitely.
Let's just focus on that aspect of effortless.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through taglines. We did this is field recording. And then I think right now we're like, this is how the world ends, with 2 dinguses starting a podcast or something like that. So we've been all over the place. Jameson, thank you for showing up every time. Seth, thank you for joining us. So I suppose we should start out with some highfalutin poetry talk.
Okay.
Hey, Seth, who is your favorite poet? All time. Who gives you life?
The prophet Isaiah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that has to be it. That just popped up in a reel that was spinning through my head of other names. But
Was it
that's the one.
Was it a reel within a reel
like
within a reel?
Yeah, it was like a Rolodex, if we can remember what those are.
Yeah.
Who are my favorite poets that I keep in my Rolodex?
Hey, no one really says I poets very often. Let's go to that one. Let's see what's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Probably that's going to be it. I mean, it's the one I come back. I read. I mean, it's obviously it's in a rotation that's not just poetry; it's in other practice. But I read it a lot. If we're just talking about like poets that we would normally name that have like books and stuff that aren't in scripture.
No, I like that response, so I think that's good. Yeah,
and it completely killed my joke too.
You can't follow that up.
I can't follow that up and say he's pretty good, I guess.
I mean, got it. I think that works better when you're talking about that. That would be pretty funny.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he was pretty good. You know.
Seth, how did you get into poetry? Like, what? Okay, so I know you went to the WT and you majored in English, right? Correct, literature, English.
WT being West Texas A&M University for the uncultured Philistines out there.
Yeah, amen.
So it's a small regional university in our hometown. Yeah,
but aside to the A&M system, which is
it's yes,
it's I guess fine.
Yeah, I like it. I'd do it again.
It was first what, West Texas Technical College, or
Teachers College. Yeah, it was originally founded as a way because the newly burgeoning population needed teachers, otherwise they would all be a bunch of illiterates, and they founded a college to train teachers, and then it grew into other colleges.
It's had 4 or 5 names over its time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to list them all.
Yeah, no, you don't need to. I mean, I've taken classes at WT. Surprisingly, I'm one of the few people in Canyon that didn't go to WT like full on. So, So you went to WT, got your we're studying English, but how did you get into poetry specifically?
Every time I try to answer this question, it comes out a little different. So if you've heard
okay, hold on. You've been asked this question before?
Yeah. Yes.
I listed all the questions I was going to ask, and I was like, these are the ones that no one else is.
No one else. No. I mean, it's a pretty common question, but I go different directions. I mean, it's easy to say I sat in an English class at WT, and at the time I was an art major, and a professor took apart Robert Frost's Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, and then put it back together, and I was hooked. I basically switched my major that day. I mean, in my mind I did. But I don't know that I don't know that that's when it was. I mean, because let's see. I know when I was a kid, poetry was just fun. Chris Fremel and I would ride the bus and read Shel Silverstein out loud, which was just fun. Just having the language be funny and the pictures, there's always Shel Silverstein always has a butt in his drawings, and it's perfect for little kids. And then, gosh, I don't know, somewhere I had good English teachers. We had good English teachers.
We did
in that school district. Some legendary ones, I feel like.
Coleman specifically.
Coleman was great. Cranmer was great. I really enjoyed Mrs. Petruccione's class.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to the same school?
We did. Yeah, we didn't know each other. We didn't know each other at the time, but we did go to the same school. Sorry, sorry you're getting left out of this conversation.
No. Dude, this is fascinating to me. I'm learning about Blake. So
what did you not read my review of Seth's poetry book? Because you would have heard a whole story.
Yeah. I did not.
That's okay.
The one on Substack?
Yes.
I noted that it was there.
Well, that's beautiful. I'm actually that's the highest praise I can get from you, Jameson.
I do remember. I remember writing poetry a lot. I don't know why I did. I remember writing a girl a poem in 8th grade. and it just being like oh, this makes sense. This is what you're supposed to do. I don't know why. Maybe we were studying something, and I remember in sophomore year we studied what was it called? Cyrano de Bergerac, and I had a friend who really wanted to. He felt like he couldn't talk to a girl that he liked. And so I was like, write her letters just like Cyrano de Bergerac. I think he paid me $5 and I wrote her a nice letter.
That's definitely like art playing out in life there.
Yeah, it was.
You.
Yeah. Well, it didn't work because she found out that I wrote it, and then we dated for a little bit.
That's funny.
and my friend
that technically that is art.
Yeah.
Like,
that's even deeper.
I mean, that's technically like Cyrano de Bergerac. Like,
yeah, I didn't die.
Doesn't she fall for the guy who writes for like oh no, he's the one writing.
He's the writing, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, it's been so long.
Yeah. And then it just became like a thing that I would do. I was in a band, and somehow I was not a good musician. So I got like,
I mean, you
can be the bass player, or maybe you can write some lyrics because nobody cares.
Seth,
so I think I pretty good doing that.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. If you read the review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask
awesome.
you? So you mentioned.
You can't ask anything. This is my interview with Seth.
Go ahead, Jason.
You mentioned you mentioned this moment of Robert Frost's poem being kind of taken apart and put back together, and then you kind of mentioned like it almost making sense in your brain. When you approach it,
you cut out there, bud.
Oh no! Am I back?
Do it.
You're back, but you're gonna have to say it again because I didn't hear any of it.
Dang. So you mentioned that. I'll start over. You mentioned like the idea of the Robert Frost poem like being taken apart and then put back together, and then you mentioned it kind of like making sense in your brain as like something that you do, which is fascinating to me because I also wondered, just a sidebar, like at what point did you realize that not everybody was doing poetry like that it was like a very unique thing? But then is it like the syntactical nature of it? Is it, it almost felt like kind of mathematical in how you were describing it, which isn't necessarily all of it. But yeah, I was curious about that.
That's a good question. What about his reading of that poem made me think? Well, to answer both questions maybe at the same time. Your first question was, when did you understand that other people weren't doing this? I think that may have been the moment that it wasn't, not everybody does this, because in that class, it was like English 102. Most of my smart friends had comped out of 101 and 102 is composition. And so I was in there with a bunch of kids that were not going to comp out of that class. They really needed it, maybe even some remediation, and which may say something about me. But just realizing like I remember he's up on the platform, the days or whatever, and he's working us through it, and as he's putting the whole thing back together again, it gets to that point where he's standing in the woods by himself, and then the horse gives the shake of the bells, and he stops, and the professor stops, and he asks us, have any of y'all ever done that? Like just been in the woods in the dark and how quiet it is in the snow. And like the room was dead silent. Like nobody was checked in. Not like they were all astounded. Oh wow, we have done. They just weren't there. And I was completely locked in, and I didn't even raise my hand. And he just looked around the room and realized that it wasn't connecting with anybody. And he goes, damn. And I was like, and then he proceeded to kind of put the whole thing back together. And however he did it, he worked us through the meter and the rhyme, and the imagery, and the fact that it takes place on the solstice, which is the darkest day of the year. just like all the stuff that Frost is able to do, probably not even, he probably scratched the surface on what Frost was actually doing. But just Frost is so simple. It comes across as being like this image, but you can read it 5 different ways. Some of them are very dark, and some of them, the fact that he pulls it together and makes something beautiful, gives it to you in a way that is at least hopeful. Otherwise, why write the poem at all? And it was, I don't know how he did it, or what he did to me, but I think that was the moment when I knew that other people didn't do it like I was, at least locked in. And then kind of, it gave me enough of a tool to go look at other poems. And in fact, I had him for one of my last classes my senior year in college, and at the end of it, I walked up to him and was like, "Thanks. I feel like you gave me a really good education for how to read poems." And he goes, "The crisis is how to read, not what to read." And turned around and walked off. That was the last time I ever talked to him.
Man,
but it really was.
It's a hell of a final line, though.
I know.
Yeah.
I've actually, for a long time, I had it taped onto my degree up here on the wall. And
awesome.
I wrote it down and typed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like how you put that, where you're like, he kind of created this tool that then you were able to take away and just apply to all these other things. Like, I feel like when I'm learning something new, I'm always trying to look for that, that kind of kernel of like, how do I learn to then teach myself with different things? So, yeah.
It's funny because the way Jameson asked that question about it being mathematical, it's funny because what you don't know about Jameson is he has a doctorate in mathematics.
Well, yeah.
And he's constantly looking for ways to connect anything.
No,
not a bad way. But what was that book, the nonfiction book that you're always talking about? That ties art.
That you need to read. Yeah. That one's really long.
The guy ties art, mathematics, and what?
Music. Bach.
Music.
Yeah, music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's apparently like a tome. Yeah.
Gödel Escherbach, yeah.
Gödel Escherbach.
Yeah. Apparently it's a tome. And it's a push to get through, apparently. So
it's interesting the whole way too. And I mean, it's kind of like it's in a way a start to understanding like artificial intelligence and just how formal systems can kind of connect to that. So I don't know if I agree with everything in that book, but it's really interesting. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
I feel like you talked about the guy that Cormac McCarthy was obsessed with too. The mathematician.
Oh yeah. So Cormac McCarthy spent like a lot of the last years of his life at the Santa Fe Institute, and there's a lot of different minds, some mathematicians, physicists, and then Cormac McCarthy there for some reason, but that's cool
the anomaly.
Too. Yeah. But I guess he was kind of, and in his last books, he like talks a lot about Grothendieck, Alexander Grothendieck, who's probably the most famous like modern mathematician, and he's interesting because he was all about like proper systems, and if you just have the proper system, he like his whole idea was to open up a nut. You just need to like put it on the beach and let the water rise, and then it softens it, and then you can open up that nut. Which is like, okay, yeah, build a system that can basically do the problem for you. It's a little ridiculous, and he took it to extremes and got in fights with mathematicians who would use tricks to solve their problems. But he was interesting because he also kind of gave up his like career as a mathematician, became a bit of a hermit in like the French Alps or something like that for like the last 20 years of his life. So yeah.
I think he's mentioned in Stella Maris, the last novel. Yeah. I read all of that stuff being like, that's very interesting. I feel like I'm missing so much of the conversation, but he explained it in a way that made it interesting.
Yeah. I haven't read the last two Cormac McCarthy books. I brought that up seemingly mainly because I know Seth is a Cormac fan, as are the rest of us. But I knew that Jamie would know the mathematician that I was speaking about. I first heard about it from my bishop, who is a Cormac McCarthy nut. The only time I ever talked to that guy, the 4 or 5 times I talked to him, we just talked about Cormac McCarthy. That was it. Didn't talk about theology or anything like that. It was Cormac. So,
sure.
So, and he would often bring up Cormac in his homilies, but much to Cormac's chagrin, more than likely.
Maybe, we don't know.
You never know.
His brother is a novitiate in the Catholic Church. He's a
When you told me that, I was like thrown off by that.
Yeah, I don't know that that's supposed to be public knowledge, but I know it. So.
Yeah. Well, did you know that? Was that good knowledge? Like a man who knew a man who knew a man.
I know one of the monks at the monastery that he serves at.
Nice. I love insider knowledge.
Yeah, I'm glad we're scooping it on this podcast. It will remain not public knowledge. So, yeah.
This is actually a really safe spot for
your secret is safe.
Well-known information. Yeah. Except for the 17 people that listen. So I'm fascinated by Seth as a person. I got to know him by way of Twitter, or X now, I guess, which is funny because we went to the same high school around the same time. I think we were both in the school for 1 year. But I got to know you through a mutual friend of ours who I knew through Twitter.
Okay.
And he was like, you should hang out with Seth. And that's where it started. And then I realized how good of a writer and poet he is, and I still am angry at him to this day. Is it really? And I know how you're going to answer this, Seth. Is it really as easy as it looks for you?
Yeah, sure is. No, I mean, you like anything, like any art, all you see is the final product, and you don't see the
drafts,
despair, and looking out a window for half your life,
all the giving up, like tossing over the table.
Yeah, so it looks easy. I guess that's what I mean. Anything that's done effortlessly.
Yeah.
Or I mean, really, done with grace. Like a ballet dancer, they look like they're doing it really easily, but they have bloody toes. So
yeah. And they're in constant pain more than likely when they're doing it.
They've stunted their growth, and they have all the issues.
There's all the cost.
Yeah,
all the cost.
To call out the book, it's something you could you could read probably in a day. I don't know if I would recommend that because you probably would want to read things over and over again to kind of get them. But when you get to the end, there's that little bit that you wrote about it, and you're like, yeah, it's 20 years worth of work, And so I think that kind of is just a testament to what you're saying, where sure, you see this book that normal reader could maybe do in a couple days or something like that, but it's this much work. So
is it true what Bruce Springsteen said, that he spent like 20 years of his life creating his first album, and then he was required to do the second one out in like a year?
That that sounds like a lot. I mean, anybody I think probably that finally breaks through, they have. I mean, it's why they have the term sophomore slump, I think.
Yeah. because they don't know what
the process that you learned how to use is not effective for the marketplace.
Yeah.
Isn't that like what Terrence Malick did? He like made a movie and then took a long time to make another
Disappeared
movie
for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, between Badlands and what's the next one? Thin Red Line?
Well, I guess there's Days of Heaven.
Oh, Days of Heaven.
So that one maybe is a shorter gap, but yeah, then Thin Red Line, and then
there's still quite a gap. I mean, at least a decade or something.
By Hollywood standards, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, then after Tree of Life, he was like,
prolific.
Logged into this format.
Until recently, and then he's gone off the grid again. I feel like he hasn't done anything since Night of Cups.
He did.
Wasn't Days of Wonder after Night of Cups?
Oh yeah, the one with the.
I can't remember. I haven't seen Night of Cups.
It's the one about the German.
A Hidden Place.
That one.
Hidden Place. Yeah, that was a great movie.
Or Hidden Life.
Hidden Life.
Something.
Yep. Yeah, but he hasn't really been. I mean, Malick's never been much of a interviewee. You don't really hear from him very often.
No, from what I understand, he doesn't even allow people to take still photos on set. So I mean, there's not really any photos of him. I mean, at least
it's all screenshots,
press photos.
Yeah. I mean, that checks out. Good for him.
It's also probably pretty good, given our our day and age of information overload and stuff.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no doubt.
For sure.
That's putting it nicely, Jameson.
I'm trying not to get us sucked into the AI talk again, which is what we seem to do every episode.
Seth has thoughts too. I mean, he's fine. He's a smart boy.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing for my second book. Is just using AI.
You're just gonna feed it Call Out Coyote and be like, make another one. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, what?
Whale Out Wolf. That'll be the next book.
Yeah.
You could do a whole series, Seth. This is. Folks,
I promise. For anybody who cannot catch my facetiousness across the waves here,
this is just book one, folks. I also know that you have that you have an ongoing novel that may or may not ever get published.
I do,
and I keep asking for it for my birthday.
Well, I really appreciate that you do keep asking for it, because at some point I'll be able to give it to you. I'm glad somebody's out there that wants it, that is expecting it at some point, because just life is busy, and I need to sit back and get it done.
Well, you're single. You're unattached from everything, so you should have plenty of time.
I'm not single.
You've got a wife and 3 kids.
Wife and 3 kids, yeah. Full-time job that is not writing or writing conducive. But I that's probably good. Probably good for me to have those things.
It's a blessing and a curse. You never feel like you have enough time to write, but you also get really good at writing.
I know it's funny because I know somebody that does. He writes full time, and he has like one of those sweet, advances. It's like 6 figures and all the great things that people want or think they want. But he tells me it's the most stressful job he's ever had, and he's trying to constantly. He has to one up himself. He has to turn a new book in every 6 months, and while he's doing press for the last one, and I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to do that. So if I can, I'll gladly take writing in the margins, even though it sometimes feels stressful. It doesn't feel like my mortgage is riding on it, which would make me hate it probably.
Yeah, I think
isn't that everything?
I remember
your mortgage is riding on something.
Yeah, I remember reading Flannery O'Connor's letters, and that was like kind of a big theme. Was she would get these advances, and she'd be like, "But I had to like explain that I take like 5 years to write anything," and it was always this back and forth with people try to give her money, but then she would have to like kind of be like, "I'm very slow at this, so you can't like expect it at a certain time." But yeah. I can imagine
it's funny that she thought that because she died at 39 and had quite a body of work.
That's true. Yeah. But especially if you include all her letters too, just so many.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's not like she wasn't. It's not like she wasn't working, right? It was.
When you think about all of those authors who are of her time and before, like just the body of letter, like epistolary work. I mean, they were writing all the time. They had to be.
Yeah.
Because if you can compile a book of their letters,
an edited book of their letters, these are just the good ones, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're thinking about like the amount of actual writing that they're doing on a daily basis had to be insane to pull that off. Not just their works. I think about that a lot, and it really puts me to shame a lot of times. You're just like,
well, they didn't have 1,000 emails coming in every day either, so
that's true, and they didn't have distractions like we do. So, or at least the kinds of distractions we have.
Right.
They had plenty of distractions,
or the expectation that you were supposed to deal with those distractions.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Jamie, do you have another question?
Yeah.
I want to let you take this boat, steer it.
I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the book, and I don't know. I have nice things to say about it. I'm trying to think of questions on the fly. Maybe I should have written something down.
Why? That would have taken effort, though.
That would have taken effort.
Effortless, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there seems to be kind of a love for the land in this book, and that shows up a lot in just the descriptions of the flora and like all of that. Do you feel like that was an important part of these collections of poems? Is your like relationship with the land and like your hometown?
Yeah, and yes, my hometown is a town called Umbarger, the town that I grew up in. But Umbarger, now and even then probably has 150 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
It had a Catholic church, post office, a garage, like a mechanics, grain elevator, and a liquor store. But there was no school, so I split my formative years living and growing up there with family and extended family, and then going to school in Canyon, which was about 10 miles away. And then Canyon had a university, which is where I went to school there. And then Amarillo was about 30 miles from Umbarger, and it really is like, for this area, it's the metropolis. It's kind of the gravitational center where the economic forces reside. If you want a job that's not on a farm, you'll probably end up in Amarillo if you don't leave the region altogether. So it was, those things are, all of those towns show up in this, and other towns too in the region. And it is a love for those places. I think Patrick Kavanagh, who's an Irish poet, which it's interesting if you think just about Ireland, around the turn of the 20th century. I mean, everybody sees James Joyce or Yeats.
Mm-hmm.
These guys that were really pushing for Ireland to be considered, on equal footing with any other country, with any of the Great Britain, with England. And Joyce had various, opinions about it. He thought that they could do it. If there was anybody that could have done it, it would have been James Joyce, to put him on equal footing. But then he got mad, and ultimately didn't really live in Ireland for most of his adult life. Died in Switzerland, I think. after having lived in Italy for a long time. In Paris, sorry, I keep getting distracted about James Joyce. But the point really is, another poet named Patrick Kavanagh has said, he gave a really good distinction for me. He said that basically there's a parochial way of looking at the world and a provincial way of looking at the world. And if a lot of people I see use those two terms interchangeably, and in my mind, provincial is looking at the small places from the metropolis and looking down on them as a way of like, we take their resources and we occasionally send people out there to manage the resources that the bumpkins can't figure out how to do themselves. The parochial way, and if you're in the small place as a provincial minded person, you're constantly looking over your shoulder, looking towards the metropolis and saying, what should we do here? Tell us what we should do, and then we'll just do it. The parochial minded person, like the person who lives in the parish, loves it, thinks that the imagination here, the stories here, the place is good enough. We don't need what the metropolis does. It doesn't necessarily mean you're cut off from the rest of the world and that you're an isolationist. It just means like we're doing fine here, and we love it, and we can exchange ideas. But if you love it and you're making stuff here instead of just consuming the stuff that's sent to you, then what Patrick Kavanagh said was like, parish respects parish. They'll understand. And everybody understood that England was a parish. They didn't need to import anything from somebody else. Ireland felt like they had to. And what James Joyce was saying, no, we can make our stories that are every bit as good as anything that's coming out of England, or better. And he set about to do it, which is just I think that's the mindset that I want this book to kind of have. Like, look, this place that seems forgotten, that's kind of out of the way, is really beautiful. And we don't have to sit here and import our stories from New York or Hollywood necessarily. I'm not saying those things are bad, but we have plenty of people who could tell the stories that would be interesting for anybody else in the world.
There's worlds within worlds within worlds, and every single person and interaction and event, and so yeah, very much so. And I think the reason why Jameson and I both have kind of, I mean, we've got other favorites, but one that has resonated for both Jameson and I that we found out today was similar, was The Rest Are Missing. And it's specifically the for me, it's the description of sitting on the patio of the parish, smoking a cigarette. It's just so, it is an actual memory, but it's also very cognizant of, like, this could happen anywhere. Like, this is a feeling, this is a event, a moment in time that anyone anywhere could be experiencing, and yet you're speaking about a very specific porch in a very specific parish in a very specific town with a very specific man, and yet we all have that same memory. And I think that's what you're talking about, the parochial and the provincial.
That's exactly what it is. Like the stories that are coming out of this place are just as important.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the quote that I have in the book from a Patrick Kavanagh poem where the poem is called Epic. I don't have the whole thing in my head, but there's a man in Ireland that's standing on this small stretch of land. He's taking his shirt off and he's got his pitchfork and he's like yelling at the neighbors because he's like, this is my land. And there's people that are coming in to try to take it from him. And it's like this in the history of the world, such a small little skirmish. And at the same time, across the Irish Sea and across England, over there on continental Europe, it's World War II is breaking out. And Patrick Kavanagh said, I used to, or the narrator of the poem is like, I used to think, of the two, which was more important would have been the Great War, but it was at the end. He says, the ghost of Homer comes whispering to my mind. I made the Iliad from such a local row.
Yeah.
And like, Troy was nothing. It is. I mean, if what they think archaeologically is the place, it's kind of just a windswept beach. But gosh, we're still studying the Iliad now.
Yeah. Did Seth? Did you happen to catch the Banshees of Inisherin?
No, I haven't yet. I slowly make my way through that. Guys, is it Martin Donna?
Martin McDonough? Yeah.
I slowly make my way through his movies. There's a lot to them, and my delicate sensibilities have to. I can only stomach so much of it.
Yeah. I forget about the violence in this movie. There is actually a lot of violence in it too. So yeah, definitely, take it at your own pace. But I feel like it's about that. You have these two characters, and one kind of embodies the parochial, and then another one embodies this provincial, like almost kind of like a time-wise provincial sensibility too.
That's interesting. I mean, just from what I've seen in the trailers, is Colin Farrell's character the provincial one?
No,
is he the one that gets bored?
He'd be the parochial.
Yeah, he's the parochial one, and
he's the one who's fine with. He's like, we have this. We've had this for years. Like,
okay,
why is this no longer good for you?
Yeah.
Like,
okay. And Brendan Gleeson's the one that gets bored and says, okay, interesting. Well, I need to watch it then. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind violence too much. There's only a small window of my life that I get to watch movies like that.
Yeah,
and
it's usually like when my wife takes the kids out of town.
And then you end up watching No Country for Old Men.
That's all like, this is my chance to watch No Country for Old Men.
That's not a bad use of time either. So
that was actually that was the movie I was going to push for this episode, and then he was like, no, everyone does that one. Why don't we do something else?
Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
And then he brought up Cool Hand Luke. I was like, I forgot about that one. That is good.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. So Seth, what is your favorite parenting hack? This is low key. This is low key really just a parenting podcast because we talk about parenting a lot.
Oh man, I don't know that I have a good parenting hack.
And by hack, I mean just normal advice.
Being a hack parent.
Well, that's being a parent, feeling like a hack.
Man, I don't know. That's a good question. My kids so far have turned out okay. My oldest is 17, and he will still come in if I'm up, and he'll come in and like if I'm reading at night, which is usually when it happens, he'll come in and chat with me for a while. So I don't actually get any reading done. But at this point, I'm definitely willing to sacrifice reading to catch up with him because he'll be gone in a year, and I'll never get that one back. Yeah, I don't know. The whole parenting thing is like it is, man. It goes real fast, and that's what everybody's going to tell you, and that's all they can tell you.
Yep.
I feel like that's a hack though. Is give up your reading time for your kids because you don't get a lot. So that's a good hack. Yeah.
Yeah, I stand by it
within reason. Let's be honest here.
What I'm hoping happens is that it rubs off and he becomes a reader. He's been reading quite a bit, but
well, maybe he'll be like a Giraldi. Maybe he'll be like holding up magazines with James Joyce, like inside of the magazines,
inside of his like bodybuilding magazines.
Bodybuilding magazines. Yeah. Jameson, do you have a parenting hack for this time?
Do I have a parenting hack?
Okay, so last time you talked, your kid was a little hellion.
Oh yeah, he's doing better. He's doing better. Seth, my son is 3, and that's our only one right now. But yeah, he was just being a 3-nager, I guess is what they call them. But like, no, he's doing fine.
But to the point that you and your wife had to have a debrief after the end of the weekend.
It's
bad whenever you have that.
We had to like really kind of connect and be like, okay, what do we do? But he's doing better. now. He was just kind of throwing his weight around, trying to weasel out of all of the boundaries that we put, and so it was kind of like figuring out new boundaries. He's kind of a late bloomer when it comes to potty training, and so we're still going through that. So my hack this week is, if you don't want to just give him candy every time he uses the bathroom, you can substitute for specific YouTube videos of lava. So he can choose between the two. Yeah, because we don't
just
lava. He just likes lava.
Okay,
he just likes watching videos of lava. So I'm like, you could choose candy, or you could watch a lava video, because we don't really watch too much YouTube, so it is special in that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we don't either.
Well, if you think 3 is a late bloomer, I think your kid is actually probably at least is ahead of the curve of my kids. I think they were all like 4 by the time it was actually they were solidly potty trained.
We're still getting to that point, so who knows? Yeah.
I think Owen, my youngest, is going to be that way. He's going to be the late bloomer of the two. Seamus was 3.5. I think he had largely gone into the habit of it, but not perfectly. But he was starting that way, down that road. So Owen has no interest. He's like, I'll shit my pants. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I think that happened today. So yeah, with Hazel.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
It does. It does. Even to adults. I blew my oldest son's mind when I was like, yeah, man, it's happened to me whenever I was like 18. I remember it was rough. I was sick also, so like that played into it. But sometimes you just think you have to fart.
Well, yeah. sometimes you're on a run and you don't have anywhere to go.
That's true.
So
that is true. I've been through that too. That's painful.
There's Code Browns. Yeah.
Code Brown. Yeah. Parenting.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, go for it.
I think this will be a good transition point. Seth, honest response. I'm not looking for how much you would want to, but how many eggs do you think you could eat within an hour? What do you think the maximum number is?
Well, apparently it's 50.
Well, you personally, I don't know if it's 50. Yeah. I don't know if
I eat a fair amount of eggs, but there's no way.
Hard-boiled eggs, though?
No, there's no way. I think a half dozen I'd be done after 6. Yeah. Maybe if we're in like competitive mode, I bet I could get to 10.
Yeah, but 10 would be my guess. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's
I mean, it's just the yolk is just so dry and like you're choking on it by the time it's
I mean, you'd have to drink water, and now the whole thing is expanding in your stomach. There's no way.
Now deviled eggs?
Yeah.
Keep bringing them on, man.
Several dozen at least, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. 10 is doable, I think, if I was really dedicated to it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think if it was competition mode and it was hard boiled, I think 10. I think I could probably squeeze a few more in if it was like, if they were like I don't know, poached or something like that, where you could kind of like do the food competition trick where you just kind of swallow it down. So
yeah. How many do you think Paul Newman did?
Yeah, how many did he really do?
It's 50. I watched him do it.
Yeah.
No, I saw it happen on the screen. He did 50.
Yep.
Yeah. They skipped a few.
They did. Yeah, so maybe 40. I can see Paul Newman pulling 40. I mean, he was a pretty dedicated actor. Character actor in a lot of ways.
Yeah. He must have eaten some, because by the time he finishes that scene, he no longer has a 6-pack. He has a very round drum on the belly.
A big power keg. So
it's especially funny considering where he ended up right before his death, selling organic foods and dressings and things like that.
Oh yeah.
His Newman's original or Newman's Own. Yeah. Fig Newman's. which was honestly pretty brilliant on his part.
Yeah,
somebody's part. I doubt he had very much to do with it. Maybe he just really,
he did it. He didn't have anything else going on. He was like, I'll name all these things. He was like Adam in the garden, except it was like
namer.
Yeah. He was also he had like a pretty good racing car career, like racing car.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Oh,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Which is why he's the judge in Cars.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Was that one of his last films?
It's pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close. Yeah. Speaking of Paul Newman, I feel like this is a good segue to getting into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
How familiar are y'all with Paul Newman?
Not a lot.
Yeah, surprisingly. Like, his name is huge, but I'm not sure I've seen all that many movies of his.
Well, I mean, Color of Money, and then what was the original one? Color of Money was the sequel to.
Oh,
he's a pool shark.
Yeah.
Clearly stuck with me.
Watched it not long ago, actually.
Yeah. What else is there? I mean, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Fantastic. With the Entertainer.
You got me.
Come on.
You got me, man. You got me.
It's also with Robert Redford. It's they had a couple that they did that were classics. The Entertainer's the song. Where they're con men.
Oh, not yeah.
I watched it 6 months ago.
Wow, man, this is a great film podcast.
Yeah,
we're really nailing it. Nailing this podcast
so much.
Also, to be fair, I dropped the whole "How familiar are you with Paul Newman?" and no one expected that.
Should have.
It's true.
You know, it's weird because I grew up with a dad.
The Sting.
That's it.
Like, I could see the cover of it, and I couldn't think of the name. Yeah,
it's funny because I used to get, and I don't know why, but I used to get the cover of the Sting and the Natural mixed up.
Yeah.
Never
same era, I think.
I think and because of that, because I wasn't super familiar with either one until later in life, I just assumed that they were the same movie, or something similar.
They both had Robert Redford.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
Also, Hudsucker Proxy. That's another one.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
I think that's probably my favorite Coen Brothers movie. Actually,
it's surprisingly good.
Coming in hot.
It is
coming in hot.
Surprisingly good.
Wow. Okay, well, I mean, and I thought I had the biggest like oddball.
I mean, it's probably not the best one, but it's my favorite one.
I mean, my favorite.
Well, you were just talking about watching No Country for Old Men over and over again.
I know
too. So
I know, but I can watch Hudsucker Proxy anytime.
That's true.
I can't watch No Country for Old Men all the time because my wife doesn't like it.
That's fair.
I have two Coen Brothers tattoos. One of them is Raising Arizona, and then A Serious Man. So.
Not Hudsucker Proxy, huh?
Not Hudsucker Proxy.
You just need a circle and it's for the kids.
Yeah. For kids.
For the kids, you know?
Kids. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a dad who had weird sensibilities when it came to his favorite movies from certain actors, and the one I can't tell you the name of it, but there was a Paul Newman movie later on in his career, later on meaning like late 80s, 90s. Where he was a lawyer taking on, like, I think it was something like a corporation that was like jacking up water or food or something. I can't remember what it is. But that's when I first think of Paul Newman, that's the first movie that comes to mind, even though I've never seen it, or that if I did, I was small. I don't remember it. But that's the first one that comes to mind, and I need to watch it sometime. Maybe I'll pick it as a movie for this, because I don't think most people know about it. because you don't. Paul Newman doesn't really play that part very often.
Is it The Verdict? Is that what it is?
It might be.
I
Did you
cheated.
look
I
that
looked
up?
it up. I looked it up. Yeah,
What,
secretly.
read the description on that.
Well, now I set my phone down because I was so ashamed. No, but it was directed by Sidney Lumet and screenplay by David Mamet. Wow,
there you go.
That's probably why it was good.
Probably was a pretty good movie.
Good names, yeah.
It's a good pedigree.
Yeah.
But he was a defense attorney, right?
As a down on his luck alcoholic lawyer in Boston who accepts a medical malpractice case
That's it.
initially to make money and improve his own tenuous situation. But he discovers while working the case that he is doing the right thing and serving justice.
Okay, yeah, that's the one. That had to be the one. That was for some reason, and my dad, God bless him, was he probably would have voted in all the ways to make such things possible. But for some reason, he loved the small man beating the giant type movies. It didn't matter what the political bent was, but he enjoyed that kind of element. I mean, it's a great story. Like, I mean, David and Goliath never gets old. And I don't think I've ever seen The Verdict, but it's for whatever reason I think of him as a lawyer. Whenever I hear his name, I'm like, even though he's got Cool Hand Luke, he's got HUD, he's got all these great films that are under his belt, and I'm like, some random film that like no one remembers is the first one that comes to my mind. That's my favorite kind of memory of an actor.
Paul Newman looked good in a suit. He also looked good without a shirt off or without a shirt. So
Yeah.
I think you've got.
He aged well too.
Yeah, you've got a lot of good touch points for Paul Newman. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. But we're going to talk about Cool Hand Luke, which is honestly probably one of his, outside of Butch Cassidy, probably one of his biggest films. Cool Hand Luke, I recall seeing probably 2 or 3 times as a kid. Probably wasn't paying much attention to it at the time. You're kind of taking it in whatever way you can. It's a quote unquote old movie, and so you're kind of paying attention, but you're distracted because you're a kid, and that's what happens. It wasn't until I was in college that I revisited it and realized just how awesome this movie is. And it's not one that has like a significant, like if you were to like write it down as a summary, not much happens. Not actually. And yet I would say that a lot happens in the movie.
It's told pretty like episodically. There's not like a big arc necessarily.
Yeah.
There's just scenes that are interesting in each of their own.
But I think like you were saying with the talk about the parochial and the provincial, is that while yes, not much is happening on the page, I think there is a massive world within a world within a world happening in this movie. And it depends on how you read it and what you see as far as the images. And I mean, there's you could read everyone's favorite, Christian critic way of approaching movies is, read Christ into it.
And well, and they do a pretty
and you can
thorough job of putting the imagery in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like just like you can with The Matrix, just like you can with like all these movies that have very strong Christological imagery. But there are other ways. Like there are ways you could read this that are existential. You could read it as social commentary. I mean, it contains a lot of things that are happening, and especially the ending. So Seth, to turn to you, what was was the first time you watched this with your dad during college?
Yeah.
Or did you watch it before then?
No, that was the first time I'd seen it. It's funny because my first exposure to it was in a Guns N' Roses song.
Oh,
In the beginning of Civil War. What we have here is failure to communicate. And I listened to that song 4 million times, and I had no idea where it was from. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Whoa! Yeah.
But yeah, the first time I watched it, I was in college. I think it was the 25th or 30th anniversary or something.
I think you said 25th in your piece that you were
yeah. And my dad was a prison guard. But he had watched it. He had watched it as a kid and loved it. It's just there's just like the 50 egg scene is just it's funny.
Oh yeah.
And as a kid, that probably made a huge impression on him. And he would have had to have seen it in the theater or at a drive-in or something because they didn't have, he couldn't have watched it on VHS. So I brought it home and we watched it. But he was a prison guard. And at some point during the movie, Luke has an interaction with Boss Keen, who's one of the I think it's the only boss that has a name, except for the warden.
Mm-hmm. And Godfrey.
Godfrey has a name.
Godfrey. Yeah.
Which is a pun.
Yeah.
But Boss Keen has a name, or he has an interaction with him, and he's putting him in the box after he's putting Luke in the box after his mom dies. He kind of solitary confinement, and he says, "I'll pray for your mom." And then he's sorry, Luke, I didn't want to do this, that kind of stuff. And Luke says, calling it a job don't make it right. And at that point, my dad, he got up. He didn't like storm out, but he was upset by it. And didn't watch the rest of the movie with me. I didn't really notice that was happening in the moment because I was caught up in the story of the movie, but it caught me later that he'd left during that moment. Because you find yourself in the position. It's not like somebody's like, you know what, as a little kid, I want to grow up to be a prison guard. You find yourself in that position because other opportunities are not there. And so he had found himself in the position to be a prison guard because it was a salary and it had health insurance and retirement, where farming did not provide any of those things. And he was, I think, feeling the weight of what Boss Keen was saying. Like, what else am I supposed to do? And it's a job. It's the job that I have to do, and that doesn't make it right, though. So where are you caught in that? And we're all on some level. I think we're all caught in that, just existing in the society that we live in.
Yeah, well, it's a very Pontius Pilate moment.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wash my hands of it and say it's my job. So, which you can read so many of those things into like the Christological elements of it. But it hits on a rough level. I mean, who here hasn't had a job where you're like, who am I actually helping here?
Yeah.
and what does that, if you're aware of that and you're keen to be at least moral or ethical in your life, there's going to be a time when you come to reckon with that on some level.
Sure.
And so, and most of us probably end up on the side of Boss Keen, honestly,
at
because
some point,
we have external elements that depend on us.
Yeah.
And so,
and we're not on the other side of the bars, right? I mean,
exactly.
there's not a prison movie that exists where the bosses are heroes.
Exactly.
It's always the prisoners, even though they're all, I mean, in real prison, they're all terrible people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just like there's not a anti-war film,
yeah,
there is no anti-war film. There's no
pro glamorize it somehow, right?
Prison film. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the most interesting things. So I don't know if Blake filled you in, but we've been covering prison films pretty much since the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And like I said, mostly, like with the exception of Cool Head Luke, mostly they've been kind of like these like forgotten, no one really remembers them sort of movies. But like one of the
like The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler.
no, not yet. But
not yet.
It should
That's
be forgotten.
actually good. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
That'll
like
be the
half
extra
shitty,
one.
half good.
Have been or will be or should have been forgotten. Yeah.
Exactly.
So one of the most interesting things is how each movie has kind of portrayed the guards. And like we started with this movie about it was kind of a riff on the Stanford prison experiments, where you've got like these people who signed up to be prisoners and guards. And, the guards were exceedingly evil in that, just very, very caricature. And then I forget the next one we watched.
It was not good. The two I've picked have not been good so far.
But we watched one that was like an Australian film. Nick Cave was in it, and the prisoners were almost like kind of part of the system, and there was like this overarching like systemic eye somehow coming into it and like kind of forcing them to just move in certain ways, because in this movie it was called Ghosts of the Civil Dead, and you're kind of told at the very beginning that there's going to be a violence that breaks out, and so like the prisoner guard or the prison guards are going to like end up kind of as victims at some point too. And so you kind of see that. And then in this movie, I feel like it's also kind of unique, where like you're pointing out this aspect of like, I'm just doing my job. And in a sense, the warden kind of comes off as a reasonable man at first in this movie.
I'm not here to be a hard case. Yeah. If you make it difficult, it's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really until the turn of Luke's mom dying and them like being like, we're actually going to twist the screw a little bit here, because this is where we exert our control. That you're like, oh, this is weird. It's not all eggs and bets,
Yeah, I think it's Ghosts of the Civil Dead has been by far the best film until this one that we've watched this year, simply because it's so very little happens in it, like this one, and that it's very mundane. Like it spends most of its time concentrating on the daily existence of the prisoners and the guards, and just kind of the daily habits, including like we talked about on the podcast, like the one prisoner who decided to become the woman for the satisfaction of the rest of the prisoners, various things like that. And so it's just like, you have the side of the prison that's the quote unquote evil side, where they separate them, and then the rest of the population. And you end up being, you kind of succumb to the nature of that everydayness of prison life in that movie. And then of course the thing happens, but it's not violent. It's not violent in the same way that you expect, like, a Cormac McCarthy book or something like that to happen, or a Coen Brothers film. It's just a thing that takes place. And I found myself in a very similar space with this one, just seeing, sometimes showing how prison can affect the mundaneness of the everydayness does more to like make you question the nature of, you know, penal systems and things like that than really anything. You don't have to show like grand violence or evil guards, or you just have to see these people having to make meaning out of a space in which the point is no meaning. Like they're trying to separate you from meaning, from interaction, from the outside world, and so
because what can you accomplish in prison? I mean, there's that has any like real bearing on the world. I mean, I guess you can get your high school diploma or a college degree or something while you're sitting in a cell, but like, what are you making? What are you doing? It's nothing.
Exactly. Until you get out, if you get out.
Yeah.
And even then, I would say that it's a hard road even after that. So
I think that drives home too, like why Luke becomes this special force in this movie too, because he he creates these games that change up the monotony of things. Like let's get this job done faster than we ever have. And I love the end of that scene where they're like, well, what do we do now? Nothing. And they're like, that's beautiful. Like, that's such a gift. And then, famously when he leaves, he even seems to understand this. So he buys this photograph with these ladies and sends it to them so that they can kind of imagine this existence outside of this space. Yeah.
Do y'all think that Paul Newman, that Luke is a good person? Because I found myself thinking about that throughout the movie. Like the movie wants you to side with Luke. Well, there's no doubt. Like he's the protagonist, but if you step back and you're saying like ultimately there is good in him, of course, as there are in most people. But is he, by general standards, a good person? That's kind of what I started thinking through as I was watching the movie.
Well, I think the movie makes it pretty clear that nobody's a good person.
Oh, that's true.
Like none of the bosses are. None of the and really all of the prisoners are just different bosses. I mean, when he first gets there, it's all I hear is rules and regulations. It's just Dragline is just he's the prisoner boss.
Prison boss. Yeah.
But and one of the things I think the movie is getting after is that there are so many rules and regulations that everybody is going to misstep, and everybody, there's no freedom for anybody really. I mean, even the crime that gets him put in jail, maliciously destroying municipal property while under the influence,
which is such a great crime to go to prison for. I mean,
it is great. He's cutting the heads off of parking meters because we've cordoned off this little section of land and you need to pay us to be in it. If you don't pay us to be in it, then you've broken a law. And it's like, well, this is, and it's, he's the war hero that has a bronze star, a purple star, or a purple heart, and a silver star, which there's probably never been a person that's ever gotten all of those.
Yeah.
So the incredible war hero comes home from defending the land of the free to look at parking spaces that you have to pay for, and just sees the absolute absurdity of it, and won't put up with it. And then he always plays it off like a joke. It's just a small town, nothing much to do.
It's small town.
Yeah, it's like I'm just passing time. But really, what he's doing is like there's no actual freedom. Every space that we have is regulated. It's like it's been taken from me, and then I have to pay for it, which is quite a statement for the 60s.
It is, and it's also it especially when you think about the rhetoric that's used for war. We're defending freedom.
Yeah.
Well, you go to war, you defend quote unquote freedom of your peoples and your land and whatnot, and you come back and you find that everything is regulated and parsed out for you to pay to use. I mean, and we're using different levels of freedom here, but
sure,
by like standards of third world countries, yeah, it is freedom. But like for him coming back and seeing that, like what kind of freedom am I actually fighting for? Because it's not.
Yeah.
And the end goal, I would make a case that the end goal is that he's like, me being in prison is no different.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he gets in there and like learns the system and does well. You know, he's not breaking any rules. He's having fun with it, like doing the bets and like you said, the highway tarring scene where they race through it. But then his mom dies, and they don't need him to break a rule. They're just going to clamp down. That with the there's the potential that you'll get rabid in your blood and want to run. So we're just going to go ahead and clamp down on you. So it's not like you don't have the freedom of space, but now you don't even have the freedom of mind. We're gonna take that away from you too.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you were. I think you said like you made the point like no one's a good person, and it feels like at that point like he's being judged as like, oh, you have this like this inherent badness in you, so we're going to clamp that down. And it's fun to think about like that the famous line from the movie, what we've got is like a failure to communicate, and it almost feels like how am I supposed to be good? There's like a failure in telling me what the pathway to that is. Like, I don't know. I was like thinking
I think that's exactly right. It's like we're and the limits and the regulations are arbitrary. Like we're gonna change them wherever we want to. The only thing it's that's free of it. It's not even free of it. Is the state? Is the whatever the power is that has the ability to put you in prison and keep you there? Because but even the bosses are like subject to it, right? They're not. They like I said earlier, nobody wanted to be a prison guard. They're in prison as much as anybody else is. They have to be there for. I mean, they get to go home at night, but they're there for their shift, and they're just standing on the road with everybody else, and they have to show up to get their paycheck because whatever rules and regulations the state made it impossible for them to make a living doing whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
So do you think?
Which makes you wonder. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think at the end when Luke says that line back to the the officers, do you think he's saying it to them, or is he continuing his prayer, and saying it to God, where it's like, hey, I never got the path to like being a good person. You never gave it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the wonderful things about the movie is the whole thing is that prayer to God. But it's played out just straight. Like you could read it as just like it's this interaction between human beings. But there's earlier in the movie when it starts raining, he's just kind of had this weird interaction with Godfrey, where he shoots the snake and he comes and brings it up to him. He says, "You sure are a good shot, boss." And Dragline's like, "And you went too far. You don't mess with the man with no eyes," which is, obviously it's really pushing it into, this different territory. And then it starts raining and Luke stands there and yells up at God. And he says, "Do you believe in the bearded boss, the old bearded boss?"
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that like it's that scene right there pushes it up there in Draglines. You can't talk to him like that, which is really fascinating because there's so many good things, and I hate to be like, well, it was this.
Yeah,
because it's not clear enough in that scene where like you're supposed to think one way or the other. I don't think it's ambiguous enough in the right way to be like, yeah, I need to answer that question.
I think well-made movies and well-written stories like do that, and it's what makes this movie good and good to talk about too. So yeah, absolutely. I do want to. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I feel like
No.
I just wanted to say how much I liked the acting because we haven't talked about that at all. Like, it was so exciting. I had forgotten because this is only the second time I've seen this movie, and I saw it back in college. And actually, it was interesting. You were talking about Guns N' Roses being your introduction to this. It wasn't that for me. It was actually the band Cool Hand Luke. So there's a band called Cool Hand Luke, and
you're actually not a fan of, right?
No, I'm a fan of some of their stuff. But I was listening to them and I was like, oh, they're named after this movie. I'll rent it, and I enjoyed it. And I think I even liked it more this second time around. So, but it was just so cool to see. Like, I had forgotten that Harry Dean Stanton was in this movie. I guess Dennis Hopper is in it, and I missed that.
He's which one is he?
Babalu Guts.
Yeah, he's the guy that he doesn't talk, but he's the guy that keeps the bets, right? Yeah.
When they had wasn't that Papa Walton too? He was the guy who was like, I don't even know why I'm here. I just like, I'm trying to think what he did. He was in the initial line.
He's one of the new meat at the beginning.
Yeah, the new meat. Yeah. I think that was.
Is he one of those passing hot checks? Is that the guy?
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah.
But I think that was him. I think that was the guy who played one of the Waltons, the dad.
George Kennedy.
George Kennedy.
Who I think won an Oscar for that. I think he won an Oscar for Dragline. But then the only thing I also remember him from is Naked Gun. So it's so funny to be like, that's the same.
Yeah. Well, what would you say he reminded you of, Jameson?
He reminds me of like a Michael McKean, but on steroids. So if you've ever seen Better Call Saul or like the Spinal Tap movie, I guess he's in that too. But
any of the movies by what's his name, Jamie Lee Curtis's husband? No, not Jamie Lee Curtis's. Christopher Guest. Yeah. Best in Show or any of those. He's always in those movies.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, he was great, and just such an imposing figure too.
Well, and if anyone has an arc in this movie, it's probably him. I mean, in a traditional sense.
I'm trying to think if anybody, because Luke doesn't change. I mean, it's like he's the tragic figure that won't change. By the end of it, when Dragline shows up in the church and he's just like,
they found us.
I led them to you.
I was noticing he's kind of like Judas-esque at that moment where like he's like
an unwitting guy, right? Like he didn't mean to. But he's also the one at the end where he tackles Godfrey.
Yeah.
Right. So he tackles Godfrey and knocks his glasses off. So now you get to see his. I don't know if we get to see his eyes, but I don't
think
power
we do.
is gone.
I think we see
the glasses are gone.
Yeah, we see the glasses fall into the mud.
Yeah, and they get crushed by the car at the end.
Yeah.
But Dragline's the one that does it.
Yeah.
He's broken free from that, and he's also the one that had reprimanded him for sassing Godfrey, and then for sassing God in his prayer, and when he's talking to him in the rain. So he's the end of that scene, or the end of that arc is him doing, I guess, what Luke was doing. It's in some level, it's breaking free from those rules and regulations, being like they don't have an effect on me anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be scared of it.
And it's interesting because, as we talked about before, he's kind of the prisoner who is a boss at the beginning.
Yeah, he is.
And he's
the guy who runs the entire prison, right?
breaks the cycle.
Yeah.
By the end. Which, I mean, there's a lot, like, just, it's very abstract and it's very, like, but the concept of that, what does that look like in everyday life? What, who is the Godfrey that we need to knock down? And, like, you know, and if we want to take it further, like, you know, you can make it into this, like, grand, like, Jacob battling the angel or God, and you know, because the great bearded boss in the sky. It's a fascinating trajectory, especially when Cool Hand Luke is the main character, but he is the Jesus figure, and not necessarily in all the same ways. I was listening to there's a podcast that I've been listening to lately that they talk about. I think it was Nosgard, is My Struggle, and they were talking about how, you know, the nature of characters and making books interesting is you always, the static characters are never the ones you pay attention to. So, like he said, not if you separate the fact the truth or the theological elements of the Christ story, especially as crucifixion, it's the first person that is really fascinating is Pilate, because he has a choice. He comes into this and he's like, I could release this man, and he ends up not. He said Jesus is largely static, and he's intentionally so, in a very narrative sense. And yet it's Pilate that is the one that you kind of focus on in that moment. And I think that's the case. I think Luke is meant to be this static character who turns everything upside down.
Yeah.
And ends up becoming the catalyst for these other characters to either go down with their principles or change. And I mean, it really is, like, it's the more you talk about it, the more you get it back to the Christ figure element of Cool Hand Luke. But
yeah, I mean, like that final scene.
Yeah,
after it's all over, they're taking a break from mowing on the road, and they're by the church where he was shot, and they're like, Drag, tell us a story about Luke again.
Yeah,
and he sits there and he's regaling them with these stories, kind of like an apostle now.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is a really well told story. I mean, visually and narratively, and I mean, the dialogue is amazing.
Yeah, it is great. You mentioned that question earlier, like, who's the Godfrey character that we're supposed to knock over? I think this is the way I read it. It's the state, and we've given the state a certain deification, I guess. We've given that to them in hopes that they would give us security and provision, but at the same time, we've given them all of our freedoms, and and then they just handed out rules and regulations so that we're less and less free, and there we have more and more ways to violate those rules and regulations, to sin against the state, which then allows them to withhold more and more from us, and they're arbitrary and unfair, and they're doling out of justice. So I think that's a good way to. I mean, there's moments in there where it almost it's like Boss Keen. There's a scene right before Luke leaves for the third time, runs away for the third time. And Boss Keen's like, I heard you don't believe in God. And Luke says, He basically just shuts him down. He's like, I got to go to the bathroom. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'd rather take a dump. But it's fascinating because, and Keen's also the one that said, I'll pray for your mother as he's putting him in the box. So it's this representation of the state has morphed into this god like figure,
the all-seeing eye. Yeah.
The all-seeing eye, which is Godfrey, right? I mean, he's portrayed that way as the panopticon, and there is no way to escape it. They've got dogs that smell you out. They have police cruisers. When you're stuck at a stoplight, they're going to see you. It's just good old-fashioned detective work, police work, that tracks him down. They're going to find you, and that was then where technology was much less
60s,
invasive than it is now, right? Yeah.
Now we're pretty much full into a person of interest, Jim Caviezel status.
That's exactly right. I mean, not that I'm ever really interested in committing a crime, but it bothers me that no matter where I am, like just walking down the street, you can pull up any of the doorbells on my neighbors.
Oh, exactly.
They know.
Yeah.
Not that I'm on the run from the law or anything, but it is that when you imagine and understand the world in a man versus society kind of narrative, like it's overpowering. The
more I think about, and the way you phrased it with the state is really good, and you have every potential political platform or political approach or system that you could put together has a state at some level. It has to,
sure,
because humans have to be controlled on some level, and you're going to end up selling some of your freedom for that security and for that, for the ability to not have, be able to call the cops whenever someone's in your backyard or something like that. But it all falls back to cost. Like, what are you actually giving up for that?
Well,
I think it's more than you always. It's more than you always suspect.
It is more. You're giving up more, and they're delivering less.
Yeah, exactly.
William Kavanaugh has a book called Migration of the Holy, but in it there's a specific essay called Killing for the Utility Company.
Oh wow.
And it basically what the state is kind of like we've made an agreement that somebody has the power to provide us with utilities. And that's really what the state is. We've agreed we'll have this unified force that has the ability or authority that has the ability to provide us with some services so that our society works, right? You got to have roads, you got to have whatever. And they keep saying, oh, we're going to offer more and more. They not only are we going to provide a military, but we're going to keep you safe. We're going to defend democracy. We're going to defend God's democracy. We're going to defend these things. And they begin to puff themselves up into God, the thing that is going to provide you with everything, but it will cost you everything. You have to kill for the utility company. You have to sacrifice your son when they're called off to war, for a war that you don't particularly have any interest in. Nobody really wants to be at the war anyway. I'm not that I'm talking about anything in current events right now, just hypothetical wars, of course.
Of course.
But that stuff it flexes itself into a God that promises everything, but doesn't deliver. Actually delivers less and less the longer it's in power, because it doesn't have to. It has more power, but it costs us everything, and we're constantly in danger of transgressing it. Especially if it's watching you all the time, you're gonna do something that's gonna piss somebody off.
The state allows Moses to kill Isaac, whereas God doesn't.
Abraham, yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow.
It's like, wow, that was.
Man, that might have been what was
a Freudian slip? Yeah. The law is allowed to kill Isaac the son. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Well,
yeah.
But that's that. Yeah, and I mean, we sort of willingly do it. I remember in the essay that I wrote about this, like I remember in 2001 after September 11th happened, the Patriot Act got pushed through within 3 months, which is this massive piece of legislation that nobody read.
Yeah.
But now the government, and I don't want to be all conspiracy theory about it. It is like they just had unprecedented access to all.
I don't
of
think
our
there's any
personal stuff.
conspiracy theory about it.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows that now.
like they could see how much they could. They have a red flag go up every time I spend a certain amount of money. If you open another account, you sign some piece of paperwork. They could see everything, and they could freeze your money. They could if they perceived that you were doing something that they didn't like. And pretty early, I mean, not long after all that stuff passed, there was plenty of anecdotal stories where people were like, "Yeah, they froze my accounts, and they didn't have any reason to. They had me mixed up with somebody else." And that, throw in AI into that, and it just gets even worse. Not getting in all of it, but the point really that I'm trying to make is the state keeps flexing itself into a bigger and bigger God that's offering worse and worse services, but demanding more of us. And I think Luke does such a good job of like, how do you respond to that? Which is why the Christ figure is the way to respond to it. Sorry, you were saying something, Jameson.
I was just gonna say like that feels delivering less and less. Like I have a very visceral story related to that. So my hometown is Paradise, California, and we basically have like one power source, and it's through this company called Pacific Gas and Electric Company, and they were supposed to upkeep their equipment, and they didn't, and they've got a monopoly, so they have no reason to. And then that town, my entire hometown, burnt down like I don't know 8 years ago. So it was a big thing. Trump even came and mispronounced the name of our town.
Paradise.
He called it Pleasant.
That's a Freudian slip too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He called it Pleasant. Definitely a Freudian slip there. But yeah.
I mean, you can't write this stuff.
No, it was.
I'm sorry your town burned down, but that's amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, just. I mean, if you talk to people in the area that I live in, I was doing like a postdoc while that happened, so I wasn't like in the town, but my mom and brother were when it happened. But like I'm back in the area, and when you talk to like people, there's this distrust, but then it's kind of like, what are you going to do? And the state just kind of allows this company. They gave them a slap on the wrist, and
Does everyone in that area despise Newsom for his connections with that?
I mean, I think there's like, if it came to Newsom versus someone else, there'd probably be a bunch of people that would hold their nose and vote still for Newsom. But like, I think a lot of people from this area would just be like, nah, that's not our guy. That's, even if they were like, we like some of the platforms or whatever, they'd still be, no, not really for it. Because of that,
Seth, if you want a really accurate depiction of the Paradise Fires, you should definitely watch the new Paul Greengrass movie with Matthew McConaughey as a bus driver. I've heard it's...
Is that... I've seen the trailer for it. Is
that's about my hometown? Yeah, and I haven't seen it. I don't. We don't have an interest
because I am his friend. I refuse to see it as well. We are. This is an ongoing bit on the show where I try to convince him to watch it, and he refuses to every time.
I did make a joke to you recently because I noticed that it was nominated for an Academy Award.
Well, of course it was. It was for like sound or something.
No, the specific Academy Award was visual effects. So not only is this movie something that I wish would have burned down instead of my town, but it's like being acclaimed for its ability to
recreating the fire,
re-traumatize people. So
awesome.
yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
It just made me laugh out of like sheer craziness of it all. Yeah.
We talk shit about Paul Greengrass a lot on this show, along with other people. Gavin Newsom being one. But that's I'm still going to continue to try to get you to watch it, because I want you
Never gonna watch it, Blake.
Even if it's on Tubi, come on, it's free, man.
Well, I don't have the time to watch all of the movies that I want to. Yeah.
Oh, it's not really free. We're paying for it through the state, so
there's no such thing as a free movie.
Free. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so I mean, you as our listeners, you've heard it here that the only true way around this is through anarchy. So that's the takeaway here.
That's not what I said.
That's what Seth is come onto the podcast to tell
I mean,
us.
It's incest defense. It's Christian anarchy. So it's at least it's based in the Jesus story. So it's still anarchy. It's just
I mean, if I had to put a pin on what it was, I think it like however you want to do it, take your worship away from the state. That's
there you go.
However, and that maybe that's anarchical at this point. But it is you don't have to believe that it's a God that will do all the things it says it does.
But to be fair, in this day and age when we've given so much to the state, I'm not sure there's any other way.
Yeah, I think you mentioned in that article that I did read that Blake posted. Oh no, am I frozen again? Can you see me?
Stop freezing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze again.
You came back. You're gonna have to say in the article that you read, you did read. Go ahead.
In the article I did read that Blake sent me that you wrote, I think you mentioned this correlation between like as a society grows more advanced, it also like deifies itself more too.
Yeah.
And so like if we're not at that point, we're taking worship away, like eventually like that will be seen as not available to us, or anarchy or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like just the early church stuff of like if you didn't say that you also worship Caesar, they had deified him, or a series of them. And if you didn't say, I mean, you could worship Christ if you wanted to, or whatever God you wanted to, but as long as you could also say that you also worship Caesar, then you're fine. But if you didn't, then now you have a problem. And Rome was not the last society that did that, and I don't think America will be either.
Nope.
And there's probably been a whole bunch between those two and before that said.
I mean, the only one that really matters is the British Empire. God save the Queen, by the way.
Yeah, she's dead, Paul. No, you're not Paul. You're Fall, Blake.
Yeah, it's good.
No, I don't have much to say. I really do recommend reading the William Cavanaugh, at least the essay. The book does a more thorough job of basically historically showing how different societies have done that, where the state has made itself into a god.
Now, who's Kavanaugh again? He's a poet, or
no, different Kavanaugh. I had Patrick Kavanaugh earlier, who's the poet. William Kavanaugh is a Catholic philosopher, I think. He has a really great one called Torture in the Eucharist, where he looks at South American torture and how the Eucharist is the antidote to that.
Wow.
It's
okay.
Pretty
all right.
Yeah.
Put that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Why not?
We can do whatever we want, Blake.
I mean, I've really considered just saying, "Hey, we're back," and calling out the show notes. Yeah, no, Cool Hand Luke, man. It's I feel like it's one of those movies where the deeper you go into it, the more you discuss it, the more you can get out of it. As we've shown, I think on this episode.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was loud. When I was teaching, I would, that's how I ended my year. Every year was showing Cool Hand Luke, and we would discuss it. So I probably have seen it more than I've seen any other movie.
Wow.
But we would discuss it, and it was really fascinating too, because like 14-year-olds who are all raised on Marvel movies and TikTok reels, were completely engaged the whole time. They loved it. For whatever reason. And it is, I still haven't gotten to the bottom of it. I get to that last scene, I'm like, I fall one way one time I watch it, and I fall the other way another time I watch it. It just does such a good job.
I think that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Because every time you watch it, it's a different experience. It's different hit to the gonads. It's a different, and it also depends on where you are in your station of life each time you watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like your dad specifically.
Yeah.
Being in that station of life, it hits exceptionally hard. Especially when you're that close to that character. And so that's really all you can ask for in a movie is one that can do that. And it's fascinating because it's such a simple film, and yet I keep going back to the depth that you can really dig through that film, and the imagery and the different philosophical takes the pathways you can go down. It's just fascinating.
But it all plays straight as this like kind of a fun, well, halfway fun until this mom dies, and then it changes tone. But just as it's just an interesting story the whole way through.
Yeah,
well, it's even more fascinating because the director Stuart Rosenberg. That's right, Stuart Rosenberg.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about him.
He did another film that we covered way back.
Another prison film.
Our first year. Yeah, another prison film called Brubaker. I don't know if you saw that one with Robert Redford.
Robert Redford, even. Yeah.
No kidding.
So,
I'm gonna have to put this in. Yeah.
It's good. I think we would both say it's good. The ending is a little bit too hurrah.
It's not as good as this.
Yeah, Robert Redford is brought in as a reformer for an Arkansas prison. This is based on a true story. And he, gets the admiration of all the prisoners and things like that. He's meaning to turn it into a less violent, more rehabilitative.
Yeah.
And of course he gets kicked out, but the final scene, not to ruin it for you, but that's the least the least interesting part of the movie, honestly, is the final hurrah as he's leaving for the last day. And
it's like Dead Poet Society in prison.
Yeah, he's leaving for the last day, and the prisoners are just clapping for him,
standing on their desks, saying, "Captain, my captain."
Exactly. The movie is good. I would say it's good, but it's the ending. By the time you get to the ending, you're like, it doesn't quite have the heft that this one does. But then he also did what? What was the other one? Amityville Horror.
Amityville Horror. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is hilarious.
That's a classic, isn't it? As far as horror goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably it's like a second tier classic, probably.
Okay.
Within horror, kind of poltergeist kind of stuff.
Okay.
But he's got a pretty diverse catalog. I was looking further into his films. I haven't seen most of them, but he's got some stinkers in there too. But yeah, I was just thrown off because I probably realized that when we first saw Brubaker. Probably looked at his IMDb and was like, "Oh, he did Cool Hand Luke. Oh, okay." I completely forgot about it.
The one of the fascinating things I think is Don Pierce, the guy who wrote the novel, and wrote the first draft of the screenplay. He's actually in the movie too. He's one of the prisoners. Has the tattoo.
Okay.
But he like joined the military. He signed up for the military when he was like 16. One of the like lied about his age and went to war.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he may have been eventually kicked out of the army. And then was in prison in Florida. And he didn't write very many books. But this one did well.
Did you read the book?
No, I've never read it. I couldn't find a copy of it. I mean, I'm sure it's easy to track down, but they're like $80 or something. Because there's no
they're not wonders at this point if you could actually like enjoy it. Just because
I'd be interested just to see the difference. Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard not to see Paul Newman in the character of Luke. But
it's like reading Lonesome Dove after spending most of my life watching the miniseries, and all I can hear when I'm reading McRae and Call is Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
And they did a great job.
Part of it. Yeah.
I don't know. I would be interested in seeing what the difference is, and how if because if it's is multi-layered and it does such a good job of just like here's the literal story, but here's the layers of metaphor if you want to go find them. I'm just curious if he did that in his novel or if that's something that came across later in revisions on the screenplay.
Yeah,
I would really like to find out because it has to be pretty autobiographical. He's imprisoned in Florida, just like the story was. So I wonder if he was just telling an autobiographical, fictionalized version of his life, and somebody else was able to find some deeper meaning in it, or if he did. I'd be really interested to find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take any more of your time, Seth.
Well, thanks, guys, for having me on.
It's been a good conversation, and it's gone longer than we normally do. So I appreciate your time.
That's good.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, just so you know, I just want to I'm going to give last words to Seth, and that he approves of anarchy. So we're going to move forward with that. And David Ritchie, if you're out there, just know you've got an anarchist in your midst. Just kidding. No, Seth never said anything about it. He did, but as we normally do, we do a cold close. So we just say bye.
Adios.